I wonder how many of you have made or are building a VR game? Good, quite some. How many of you are planning to build a VR game? More, okay, awesome. So, why, when some games are making 3 million a day, not exactly 3 million, sometimes 1.5 to 3 million a day, and the best-selling VR games is only making 3 million for its lifetime till now. And why are we, including those who have just raised hands just now, are still building for VR platforms? Why are you building for VR platforms?
Because I think like VR is the you can like simulate another whole new experience which cannot be done in real life. So it's like an experience simulator for users to experience the environment and also like interact with the like various interactions within the virtual environment.
So what are you building for?
I'm building like a data visualization by creating like a table based on a real table. You can get the dimensions to create the virtual table according to the dimensions, and then you can show like holograms and everything to interact with the data.
It's so fun.
Yeah, it sounds like a interaction. Also, I implement some UI panels, which you can use your hand to move around the UI panels around, so you can like customize your own virtual environment. It's like creating your own working environment.
Really awesome.
Yeah.
So everyone, we are here not just building for money. We are building for our passion, right? And we want to impress the world because we have been impressed. And we want to build the future because we have seen the future. We want more players to experience what we have experienced and make it more fun so that they can experience this immersive, fun VR experiences. We are building for them. However, as we are amongst the pioneers, we know the roads are not paved rosy or paved smoothly for us yet. And we know the players are not all equipped with VR gears. And we know there are many factors that have caused these issues that people are experiencing while playing VR games. So how can we design or develop a VR game smartly so that we can make a fun gameplay and bypass these issues and still provide the best experience for players? In other words, how can we not just entertain our passions, but also entertain our players, our investors, and our employees' paychecks? We are game developers. We build games, not just experiences. VR experiences are for Hollywood and amusement parks. We are serious about giving the gamers real immersive VR games. So this is what we have built. 25 PvE campaigns and different arenas for PvP battles and online and offline tournaments which are being planned. So to avoid the motion sickness effects that we have talked before, well, we have regretfully given up some very cool game ideas, some like air explosive battling experience. We have chosen to do some relatively stationary positioned games. And to avoid the cords that a lot of VR equipment that it has, we have given up the full 360 view or turning around kind of a gameplay. We are making it more frontal view, but still make it as fast as possible. To help spread the word, that is to give the social experience, we are actively adding or have added social elements in the game. And lastly, but not leastly, the monetization model. With such a small audience group, as you all know, it's damaging or fatal to allow many freemium models on VR platforms. For some game developers that are backed strongly with their funding, and they're promoting their games through freemium models, that will not only hurt their long-term revenue, but also destroy the ecosystem of VR system as a whole. This is very, very important. So once we have decided we are going to make a VR game, and we have these ideas about how to bypass these issues, we need to choose which VR platforms to build for. Since most people are building with Unity and Unreal Engine, it is easy to port to different VR platforms. However, there are a few things to consider when we are building for different VR platforms. Mobile versus PC or console, that is GearVR versus HTC Vive, PSVR, or Oculus. We were taking the mobile to PC console strategy at the beginning. However, by the time we were launching to Oculus Store for GearVR, and there are too many freemium models there already. So although we gained 10K users within the first week, it's really hard to make money out of it. And esports game, we chose to make esports game because competitive games are amongst the fastest growing segment on PC, console, and mobile platforms, as you know, such as League of Legends, Overwatch, Vainglory, and Clash Royale as well. And VR platform is perfect for competitive games. However, most games currently are more stationary or standalone, and that's not very engaging, and that's not promoting the VR audience as a whole. So that also makes VR game experience to be more intriguing and more also more promising. We are wizards. In a world dominated by evil spirits, the wizards are united to grow our skills and to save the world. Today, we are going to talk about how the team has come up with the idea of making a VR esports game and the lessons we have learned and challenges we have overcome. Now, my team will talk about what each of them have learned.
Hi, my name is Jay, and I'm the producer of the game. We went through several iterations and decided to have a one-on-one format. Initially, we had up to 4 players, and that was definitely much more fun than a one-on-one battle. However, we found out that about 97% of all the battles happened so far in our previous version was actually one-on-one. So we decided to focus on polishing just that experience.
Hi, I'm Hanwei. I'm the designer on the game.
The game we're developing is a real-time VR strategy game, played in first person, where you control a wizard to cast spells and summon monsters to fight for you. You can also control a hero on a battlefield to aid your summons in combat. The main focus of the game is on mastering the use of all the spells and summons you can acquire, and before you go into battle, you can actually choose the types of spells and summons you want to bring with you, similar to building a deck.
One of the things we had to figure out early on, going from the GearVR to the Oculus Rift, was designing a more physical user interface. It went from scrolling up and down with the buttons on the side for the gear to using these touch controllers for the Oculus Rift. In our game, you're a wizard and you cast spells. We thought of, okay, what if the spells that you select appear in a row in front of you? You just tap to select it. So you tap it and you cast it. You have access to all the information of all the units on the field at all times. We weren't making a board game where units are fighting on the board in their miniature. We want to make the feeling of the game as in you're on a field and you're summoning troops that are gigantic in size, so you feel this presence in the game where you feel like you're in the battle instead of you're playing a board game.
So in deciding to make a VR strategy game, we had to look at ways to shorten the amount of time players spend playing each match. Because traditionally in PC and console strategy games, matches can take somewhere between 25 to 40 minutes. And we found that that was too long for players to tolerate while in VR. So in order to get the time down to somewhere around 8 to 12 minutes, we had to simplify a lot of strategy game elements, such as making units and collecting resource. So in our game, resource is mana, and in order to get mana, there's these 3 buildings in front of you that produce mana crystals every 20 to 25 seconds. And you point your wand at them and press the trigger to get them. So that's how you get resource in our game. And another thing we noticed in VR was that the field of view is actually more narrow than in traditional games. So you can see less of what's on the left and right. And we kind of played that to our advantage. So we made the battlefield more wide than it is far. Because we noticed in VR, as things get further away, it's actually harder to see them compared to the normal game. So we didn't want things that your opponent is sending to be so small that you can't see them. So we made the field very wide. So now that you have this interesting thing where you can only see one side of the field at a time if you look around. So if you're looking to the left, you can't see what's happening on the right side. So in the battle, we found is like players sometimes send things left and right to kind of like catch their opponent off guard. And that was like one of the really interesting tactics that we found that people were using.
Hi, I'm Ketian Zhang. I'm the programmer of this project. And I will talk a little bit about our communications between Oculus and our game and the server and our platform as Game Portal. So we decided to the player was like every player was logging into Oculus Store, and we kind of want to store their information to our own platform and our own database at Game Portal. And because we also wanted to like store their records, their inventory, the things all the things they get from our game to our database, so we have to do communications between both Oculus and Game Portal. So we use the unique Oculus ID for every player to register into our own platform with HTTP request. And things got a little bit messed up when we have too much things to record. Like we have players on level, players inventory, and because we're making a semi like card games, players should have their own decks. So there's another things to store. And also we have PvE part, which we have to record their progress in other like level unlock things and their high score. And we also maintain several leaderboards, so the players' score gets, players are competitive. So after all this, we end up with like communicating pretty good with our platforms.
Yeah, other team members who have contributed to the games, including Olivia, Alec, John, and Peter. And if you have any questions about building VR games, VR esports games, or how to promote them, we can share some. Welcome to ask questions. Thank you.
So I'm curious. You're obviously doing this for passion. That's why you started doing this. How did you convince your investors and your business partners and everyone to come along on that journey? What is the magic sauce?
So far, we are self-sponsored. Yeah, I think for the tournaments, we like to look for some sponsorship so that when we are exhibiting at the E3, China Joy, etc., if you're interested in getting influencers to mention your name when they're streaming or like live tournaments, or you would like to help to grow the VR user base, you're welcome to sponsor our games.
Okay. Thank you so much for coming to Singapore and for taking this on kind of a straight jump off the plane. Very impressed. Thank you.
Thanks.